Breaking news. You know, a lot of the times I really like being right, but in this situation, it doesn't feel good to be right because from last chapter, I was talking about Iguro blindly running in and stabbing Muzin in the stomach with his sword after it had turned bright red. And I was like, wow, what he just did was the stupidest move anybody could have done in a situation like this, considering how many people have died and are out for the count. Y'all are easily the strongest people on the battlefield right now, and you just cut the numbers and their chances of survival and winning drastically down, because it would have just been the water pillar, wind pillar, and earth pillar that were left. Now because of this, and it's not even like he went for the head, like he stabbed him in his like stomach or in his abdomen, so it was almost pointless what he had did in the previous chapter. But that was chapter 189. Now we're going on with chapter 190. But before we get into that, go plus ultra and smash that subscribe button. It lets me know that you rock with the content that I put out here on this channel. And without further ado, let's get into this review. Now, after Iguro realizes what he just did was the stupidest thing in the fucking world, he comes out of his mouth and says he realized that he made a mistake. He put all of his energy into his gripping strength, and because of that, he nearly fainted. Like, that's how hard he was gripping his katana at the time, and it made no sense, like, at all. If you're gonna do that, at least go for the head. Try to at least cut, I mean, at the very bare minimum, cut his legs off. You know what I mean? Like, get him down. You feel what I'm saying? This is how I know I was right, because Iguro comes out of his mouth. Well, he's having his internal dialogue at this point, but he's thinking, and this is a quote from page 3. If one of us falls, the burden increases on the others, then we can't disperse Muzin's attack. End quote. Just as Muzin is going in to kill this man, because mind you, he can't move, so he's an easy target. Just as he's going in, you got our boy Tomioka doing one of his water breathing techniques in order to save Iguro, and then this is where you have like his dialogue, like, damn, I was too late. But then he looks up, because we see the shadow in one of the pictures. We look up and Iguro's in the air. Now we know it could not have been him, because it was just stated in the previous chapter, well, not the previous chapter, but on the previous pages, he couldn't feel anywhere other than his hands at the moment. So we know that his legs aren't working. And even if you look at the picture on page 4, how he's in the air is very unnatural. Like, that's not how you would be in the air if you had jumped. You feel what I'm saying?
You ever play this?
Muzin looks surprised, everybody looks surprised, and then Muzin goes in to attack him in the air, right? There's nothing he can do in the air at all. Now he manages to dodge it in the air, which leaves Muzin, again, and everybody reading, more surprised. Then out of nowhere, Muzin's arm lobbed off, right? His right arm gone. Now me as a reader, I'm like, what just happened? Because for like 5 chapters in like 2 hours, I don't think he's lost an arm once. And I could be wrong. I don't think he's lost an arm. Like, their blades really haven't been penetrating him at all. So I don't believe it was anybody. And he even goes down the list. He was like, it's not the Earth Hashira, it's not the Wind Hashira, and it's not the Water Hashira. And you only really get an explanation for the Water Hashira. But he was like, the Iron Ball, it doesn't cut. Alright? The Wind Hashira, his katana cuts, but it would leave a distinct pattern because of his blade and how it's like designed. Tomioka's blade could cut his arm like that, but he was just next to Iguro trying to save him. There's no way he would have got back in time. And he even considers Iguro cutting his arm, but he was like, his blade is bright red and it can't extend because he was just in the air. He's too far away. That's when Muzin notices, and he takes into account that when he saw Iguro in the air, the way he dodged was very, very peculiar. And now as he's thinking about all this, his left arm lobbed. So now he's armless, okay? It doesn't really matter considering how fast he can regenerate, but his arm is gone. He examines the wound, he looks at his arm, he's like, that cut is coming. It's a very rough cut, and it looks rickety. Those are his words, not mine. What I'm telling you, and I talked about this in my last chapter review, and I'm gonna have that link down in the description below, just so y'all know I'm not bullshitting y'all. I've been asking where Inosuke, Zenitsu, and Konoe have been this entire time, and I think we're going to get a little bit more detailed about that as Muzin is trying to figure out what all had happened. He was like, he knows people are there because he can hear them. He can hear the wind splitting. He deduces that was 3. He finds them. He attacks it, and he breaks the those like seals, those invisibility seals that Yushiro would use, that they would both use. And he realizes that, wow, Zenitsu, Konoe, and Inosuke were all invisible, cutting off his arms at the time they had just arrived on the battlefield. Now look, everybody is surprised that these niggas are alive, okay? Like, I want to be able to talk about this, but like Inosuke, he brings life to me, okay? He brings necessary energy to this entire series, okay? And he was like, you guys are still alive? And Inosuke comes out and he's like, of course I wouldn't die. He's like, he said, besides I got tons of these papers. And he just starts throwing the seals out and making it rain like he at the club or something. This is where everything starts snapping into place, and Muzan is starting to get overwhelmed with everybody, because now their numbers have went from 4 to 7. And because of these additions, Muzan now has more things he has to worry about. He starts dropping his guard, and now the veterans, the pillars, they're snapping into action better than before, right? Because if you just have to worry about 4 pillars, it's going to be an issue, but it's not. Now that you have Inosuke and the gang there, this is where you see Aguro make his move. He does some unnamed snake breathing technique and lobs both of his arms off again, and those little tendrils that he had on his back. This is where we find out that if you have a bright red blade, it takes longer for a demon to regenerate once they're cut with a red blade, a red katana. Zenitsu's bitch ass and the other mighty warriors that just showed up, they slap the seal back on their forehead and they go invisible once again. Then they're using flower breathing 4th form, Crimson, Hanagoromo, and then thunder breathing 1st form, thunderclap and flash. Muzan's enraged, he's lashing out. That's when Aguro comes back with the mighty serpent breathing 3rd form, coil choke. This is where we start to see the Stone Hashira snap into place. Okay, now keep in mind he has the axe and the ball. And this is where I was talking about at the beginning of this review, where I was like, color changes within anime, especially Kimetsu no Yaiba, when it comes to katanas and the different colors, we don't know, like, unless they say it. So even here with the Stone Hashira, he's like, in addition to Iguro's bright red sword, it helps. We've increased the numbers. I'm glad they came. It creates just enough space for me to do something. And then you see a shift within the color of his axe and his ball. And then he says again, a burning smell and heat, and the color change just like that one time. It may not last long, but it'll improve my offenses. He sends the iron ball flying after making it collide with the axe, and it just tears through Muzan's entire, his whole left upper torso is gone. Alright, just rips straight through it, and Muzan's just like flushed at that point, and niggas like, did that really just happen to me? Final page, this crazy fool goes up. I'm talking about the Wind Hashira. He goes up and he says, Tomioka, prepare yourself. And he's like, huh? They collide swords, okay? They're not fighting each other, but their swords clash, and this is where you see that both of their blades are starting to turn bright red. Alright, so now you have 3 people on the field with bright red blades and whatever the Stone Hashira's iron ball is, right? Because he doesn't say that it's bright red, and it doesn't look bright red at all, because I mean it's very definitive from these pictures when a sword is bright red. It's basically black, okay? That, I mean, it is what it is. It's basically a black blade from what we're looking at, because the manga is not in color. But that's not what the Stone Hashira's ball is resembling. So he has something different altogether. And that is pretty much the end of the chapter. Okay, no it's not. The Crow announces that they have 1 hour and 3 minutes until dawn. I believe in the last chapter it was 1 hour and 30 minutes left. So, you know, roughly 27 minutes have passed since now in the last chapter. I thought Tanjiro would be back on his feet. I'm still hoping that the vial is going to get to him, or they got the vial to him in beforehand. I want to say he's still dreaming, so hopefully we get more information about that in the next chapter. But that is all I have for today. I think this is just going to be the bunch of people that we rock with to the end of the series. I don't see any more people dying, but I could be completely wrong. I mean, I felt like Ogura would have been out by now with all the shit that happened. But I'll probably have more speculation on that with the next chapter next week. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you for rocking with me to the end. If you're new, go plus ultra and smash that subscribe button. I greatly appreciate it. Like the video, comment on the video, rate the video, share the video, and like always, keep it safe and wrap it tight. I'm out.